don't feel anything.
Well, I feel a bit apprehensive because you're obviously about to say something about this.
Okay.
Rather than
well, maybe if we stand three of us collectively and just see if we can pick up those energies that I'm receiving here now, okay? If we were to take this up here now, okay, below, okay, is the symbol of a pentacle. There was satanic, not just worship here, but practices. The black arts, there were people slaughtered here, hideously slaughtered. And what's below there is this inverted pentacle, and also symbols that go around. And it's like as if I'm going in to those conditions. And the chanting and what have you to this, and the dark arts worship to the dark side of life. And it is like the evil of the high priest, the darkened high priest and the priestess. There was two of them that were head of this evil coven and the practice here, and they were well-to-do individuals.
When was this? When did this happen?
Without a doubt, was in the 16th century.
So you said there were two people?
Yes, a man and a woman.
A man and a woman?
I feel it was a husband and a wife. Right. He would have had knowledge. He wouldn't have practiced like they did in the earlier days, but he would have been interested in the dark side of the occult, and he would have been knowledgeable of what went on here by his forebears. I'm not saying the last one was actually practicing the dark arts, was just had empathy towards it. And he would have been knowledgeable of all the slaughter and the things that went on in the lower areas. Down. And, you know, down there is the putridness of the agonies, the hate, the blood. Oh, the blood flowed like a river here, in two streams. This here, can I just tell you, the Victorian era of time.
Right.
Place this here on top to cover that up, the knowledge of it. If these were taken up now, we'd go down and you would see it. You're standing directly above that evil force, and it's still activated, even though it's covered up. The energies, okay, are not seeping through.
No, I can't feel anything.
They're not heavy, I can tell you. But the essence is there. So maybe it's a good thing that it doesn't get taken up, because I feel what would happen here, you get all that negative energy and anger and despicable thoughts coming out like a negative spiritual cloud, and it would affect not just this building, it'd go out and affect the area.
So the two people, the husband and wife, they covered it up themselves, did they?
I feel that they would have had something to do with it, yes.
Right, so they knew it was here and then they covered it up?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So could this fine floor purposely hide darker and deeper sacrificial secrets below? And what other dangers lie waiting in store at Appuldurcombe House?
This is bad. This is bad.
Lying 3 miles west of Shanklin, the eerie confines of Appuldurcombe House already appear to harbour a secret, austere history that is far from refined. Nobility may have once called this their home, but what does lie beneath? Derek feels that the Great Hall floor literally hides a bloody and sacrificial past, so we headed to this apparent source, the complexly winding and isolated cellar.
Just as, you see, just here, especially here, it seems to be a vortex, like a threshold. As I walk in here now, then it takes on. It's like, this is the inside, that's the outside. What belongs here doesn't belong out there. However, if we can just walk along here now, as we can see the crew in front of us here, and it's yourself and me and Kieran, along these walls, I feel just what's emanating. Okay, to all intents and purposes, I suppose it looks like a cellar. and it is, to all intents and purposes, a cellar. But I do not feel it was always a cellar. This, you know, cellar contains stores and stuff like that. Could be wines, could be food, meat and stuff. And no doubt different things were held here because the residual suggests it has. But before that, feelings here of a putrid, broken spirit is in this atmosphere. Broken spirits, an abundance of them. I mean, literally, the only way I can say it, being brought in here at different times, hundreds and hundreds of people at different times. And, you know, the only way I can put it, as we go along here, I would just say my eyes are just like, I said earlier on about, like two rivers of blood.
Yeah.
These gullies here, okay? And it's like saying, I just drenched these gullies in pure blood. Streams.
Almost as though these were built for that purpose, you mean? Or?
Well, you know, that could be the case of it. There's certainly a lot of bloodletting going on in this area. And pure souls, you know, when I say pure souls, souls here that were waiting for their ending and just shackled against the walls here, either side, going along through this area, the cellar.
Right. And these were just innocent people that were just, what, brought off the streets?
There was a mixture of it. There was people that were against these people that were performing and linking with the dark arts. There were people who they had things against, who talked about them, tried to bring them out in the light in their day, and they tortured and killed those. There were most definitely pure, innocent souls that were just of the day, that were just like in the wrong place at the wrong time, snatched and brought here as well.
And you're saying this was in the sort of 1800s?
No, this was before then.
Oh, right.
Yes, this was before changes. A lot of changes took place here to change this into cellar area in the Victorian times. This went on before.
With settlements known to have existed here for 800 years, many of the astral energies associated with this land may be untraceable, but certainly not untenable. Nightfall presented us with the ideal opportunity to switch our cameras to night vision and head outside to two remote cottages situated to the rear of the main house. These buildings may now act as holiday homes, but would David Wells agree with their perceived tranquility?
We were walking past here. The very first thing I can say is I was very aware of a woman's face at an upstairs window.
Oh, right.
I'm not convinced it's actually in this cottage. It may be next door. But it was a very strong image and a very swift, you know, mop-capped kind of image. And yet it doesn't seem... It seems more to me to do with what used to be here than what is here.
Okay.
So she's not living in this house, she's living again in her house, which is a different kind of... And it seemed like a smaller cottage.
Right.
You know, it seemed like a much smaller cottage, which is why it may seem like it's between the two, because it was sort of in the middle.
And who was she in relation, do you think, to the main house?
Oh, she was... She's more like a... She's actually like a milkmaid.
Okay.
You know, she's more of a... Certainly a servant, but more to do with farms and animals rather than actually working in the house itself. That's what it seems like to me.